Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia, and this is the summary for the day of 898 for the 9th of August. There is no information on the 10th of August in this report. So this is not the latest report as per this recording. There's a lot of things happened, and so because I was busy, largely sleeping, so so I have no time to map in the latest information for this. This is purely for the 9th of August. So on the 9th of August, we have certain things happening. The frontline changes report is already out, which is why I so relaxed. So the Kursk and the Bryansk region have enacted the CTO regime, so the counter-terrorist operations regime, and it's very weird because an invasion by Ukrainian armed forces, this is like a regular military invasion, is still considered counter-terrorist. So some of these pro-Russian channels are arguing that it shouldn't be a counter-terrorist, it should be a martial law regime. So yeah, they are unhappy about this, and I can understand why. I think the Russians do not want to legitimize the Ukrainian government. So they are just like their continuous rhetoric from the Russian side. They simply call Ukraine government illegitimate. They call them terrorists. So I think this is the why they do not want to so-called give this status to the Ukrainian armed forces. So they simply call them terrorists, which is like very petty. So anyway, we go into the Kursk front. At the Kursk front, we have this shelling reported in Rylis, where the HIMARS hit a grouping of troop vehicles, where the Russians have their reinforcement coming to Rylis, and then they got detected and then destroyed by the HIMARS. The photo or video was leaked or posted online, and so apparently the guy that took the photo was arrested by the FSB, which is the Russia's internal security agency, something like the FBI or the KGB during the Soviet era. And so apparently this guy actually sent the footage and resources to the Ukrainian side for money, and so he gonna stay in the jail for a long time, unfortunately. So I did give the warning for those Russians, don't underestimate the gravity of the situation. Same for the Ukrainians, don't anyhow take the photo and videos, because you may be even though you may just take it for fun, for curiosity, want to show your friends, but you may be accused of being a spy for doing espionage. So the wartime regimes, don't joke about it. So yeah, we all know what happened to Gonzalo Lira. So this is the kind of reality. Don't treat a war zone like as if it's a peacetime country. It's not. So so the Ukrainians are getting not say the Ukrainians, the front line is starting to get a bit more solid. We're starting to see where the front line is, particularly over in this western flank. We are seeing that the front line has been established from Snagos, which the Ukrainians have captured, according to the information from Rybar. Anyway, almost all information from the Kursk offensive is Russian, because the Ukrainians refuse to talk about it. So yeah, all you get is going to be Russian propaganda. But the reality is the Russians don't really propagandize, in that sense, because they themselves are curious about the information they are trying to inform their Telegram readers. So the front line looks something like this now at this moment, and so the Ukrainian forces are stuck tentatively at this line, with the Russians allegedly starting to attack at Ivanivka and Leonidovo. And accordingly, these are special forces from different regions. I have covered it in the frontline changes report, I believe. So some Armenian battalion of the Pianashki, don't know what's this, from the Azbaksia people, and then some groups that I'm not very familiar with, maybe related to Wagner and whatnot. So there was previous attack being reported at Karinovo. However, there is also invalidations saying by Rybar, saying that some of these attacks are not real. It's just radio games by the Ukrainian armed forces. I mentioned this during the Kursk update, so I'm not going to repeat myself again. So that's the situation. Ukraine forces was airstrike at Leonidovo, so the Russians starting to use FABs because the Ukrainian positions is starting to establish itself as they start to build fortifications and entrench themselves. And once they become stationary, they become targets for airstrikes. And I think this is something that we have talked about for the past 2 years, 2.5 years about this war, being so weird because in modern warfare we don't expect the troops to be stationary because you're just targets for airstrikes or artillery strikes. And now we are seeing this in action because at the beginning, as the Ukrainians are just going all over the place, the Russians do not know where to strike them. It's very hard, unless they're in the open, they can be identifiable. You have the anti-helicopters going in, and then you have the Lancers. However, once you become stationary, that's when the airstrikes come, because once you start to entrench yourself, then you become an easy target for a glide bomb. And this is exactly what we are seeing now. And I think that given what we have seen in the other front line within Ukraine, I don't think they are able to survive fortifying any place within Kursk. But we shall see. Maybe the Ukrainians would surprise us. The Russian forces was reportedly attacking in the east of this place called Viktorovka. So around here, I'm not sure if that is that Viktorovka, but I believe it's this one. There's another Viktorovka around this area here. So yeah, the Russians have the same bad habit. Anyway, in terms of reinforcement, Russians are sending reinforcement to the Suzansky region as well as the Krenevsky region. Basically, is the two oblasts around here. One of these two oblasts around here. So the Russians are already sending troops in. I think the incursions is going to be contained right now. I don't think the Ukrainians can go beyond these two oblasts unless they start a new front. So this is probably might be the furthest extent at this moment that we will see the Ukrainians go. So previously they went very far, but the Russians over on this eastern flank, or I will maybe call this the northern flank, is also tapered right now around this area. There's not a guaranteed that the lines are looking like this, because everything is still pretty much in the fog of war, because the lines here is not established yet. But we have information of Ukrainian capture of Malaya Lognia as well as Viktorovka in this area here, according to Ryba. So Ukrainian forces capturing this area here after taking these positions. However, the Russians are already now counter-attacking towards Malaya Lognia from the east. So the Russians are attacking from here, and there's also fighting being reported at Roskoye Poreshnoye. So in this area here, I believe is the Ukrainians that is doing the attacking, with the Russians holding the line around here. So this is the northern sector of the front. We are now looking at the slow establishment of the front line. I think the front line around here is probably clear. The other places is not so clear yet. We will continue to wait for more information. I believe there is more information that's came out, but this is the SITREP, so we will just focus on the SITREP later if I have time, because there's also DPA open mind. I'll see how I will map the latest information in. And so moving south around this Suja region, the Suja sector, we have the capture of Yuzhny being confirmed by by the Russians. There's a Lancet hitting a Howitzer, a self-propelled Howitzer over there. Oops, accidentally pressed that. And so the Ukrainians actually sent artillery up front. Which means that the Ukrainians are really treating this operation very seriously. This is not it's not a special force incursion. This is a regular force, and they really want to conquer this place and push forward, which is why we are seeing artillery systems here. And the Ukrainians captured Yuzhny as well as the second Kinyanzi. This is actually confirmed by confirmed by residents, and Yuzhny was confirmed by footage. So Ukrainians are definitely establishing certain lines around here, confirming. And according to SITREP maps, which is the pro-Russian source, they say that there is information about the Ukrainian capture of Martinovka, so which is around here. However, based on Russian mapping, Brybus mapping, in the Suja region, Russian forces have retaken Bodarevka and established a line just off Mikhailovka, and along the Sel River. So the Ukrainians' firm control is over on the western part of Sudzha, on the western coast of the river, and Ukrainian forces is geolocated within the town, showing off that they are there. So the front line here is considered quite established right now. It's getting more and more established, and in this area here we have previous Wagner forces entering battle. So they are part of the IDA Special Force Akhmat. This is my understanding is unrelated to the Chechens, but they are all filled up with mostly previous Wagner forces. So the Wagners are the first responders over here, as the regular army is still preparing and forming up and starting to move forward. So this is what we are seeing right now, and moving south there is a M777 artillery getting destroyed by drones. So like I said, the Ukrainians are moving armor, not just armor but artillery up front. They are going to push. So there is, in my estimate, there's still two more groups of forces, two more reserves that they can push forward. So we haven't seen, at least we do not know, seemingly like the first two reserves have not entered yet. So let's see how this goes. And the Ukrainians have started to try to push for more areas to attack, because the other front line is starting to get stuck. There is attack reported at Klehovo and Kusherov. So Klehovo, in the latest information, there seems to be that the Ukrainians have managed to enter. There's partial control over the village, but they're not so sure. So there's still fog of war in this region here. So, and what's important to note is also that Kusherov is actually not is actually at the border. So this is not the incursion. This is not fighting within the incursion, but this is almost like a new front. So the Ukrainians are starting a new area around here. However, the Russians are reacting as well. So they previously, I've mentioned, they have captured Lukashevka and Sunitsky Kozachok. So this is the reaction to the Kursk incursions. So let's see how this develop. Further away, there is a drone strike reported at Lipsky 2 air base. So the Ukrainians actually attacked this air base, probably because this air base is used by the Russians to conduct airstrikes on the Ukrainians. So this is why the drone strike happened. But yeah, I don't think it's going to matter a lot, because there's a lot of military airbase all around this area here. When we move on to the Kharkiv front, the poor Kharkiv front that nobody loves right now, they also not attracting much love, because there's only fighting reported at Voschansk, and that's about it. There's nothing much happening around here reported by the Ukrainian Defense Ministry. It looks like this front line is now turned stagnant. Nothing much is happening right now. Over at the Kupiansk front, no fighting at the Sinkivka region. There's fighting, however, in the Pishane region, with fighting reported at Tabaivka and towards Kolesnivkivka. And airstrike was reported north. It was geolocated north of Krydelkivka. So that's all from this area. Nothing much. Further south, over at Svetove front, there's nothing to report. Over at the Kremina front, we have fighting reported at Makievka, Nevsky, as well as within the Serebiansky forestry. But these are just arrows. There's nothing much here to talk about. Over at the Sivers front, the Sivers offensive is still ongoing. Russian forces attack Bilohorivka, Verkhovokanyamsky, Sperne, Ivanodarivka, as well as Vimka. And this area here seems to be continuing to be the main push that the Russians are doing towards Sivers. And so there's not much news coming out from this area. A lot of radio silence. We move into Bakhmut front. At the Bakhmut front, the battle seems to be starting in the south, over towards Bilohora and towards Dilievka. This is reported by the Ukrainian Defense Ministry. There is still the usual thing like Ivanivka, Stuposhki, and Chasivya in the general directions around the Chasivya region, but I don't believe these are real pushes. This may be one. This may be real, but we shall see. We do not know how the Russians will react, because they always do attacks, but then they never really push seriously. Over at the New York front, we have just fighting reported at Thorax, New York, as well as towards Pentelemenivka. At this Pentelemenivka region, in the western part of Yurivka, Russian forces captured some grounds, as mentioned in the frontline changes report. So this is a Russian claim. sorry, deep state UA claim. So which means actually this capture is actually much bigger. I need to draw this bigger then. It's going to be something like this. This is also this is actually a Ukrainian disclaim. So Ivanivka, Ukraine disclaim 9 of August. So let's save this first. Sorry. Yeah. Or was probably tired when I was doing this. So this is actually a huge ground the Ukrainians actually conceded in this area here. So the Russians make some big push according to the Ukrainians. So let's see. But generally, because we have already mapped this as under Russian control, so it's, and also by through geolocations. So it doesn't look as big to us. Over at the Avdiivka front, this is still where the main Russian offensive is still ongoing, but it's receiving a lot lesser attention due to the Kursk offensive. Over in the northern flank, we have the Russians continue the harassment over at Klinove, Zelenepo, Novoalexandrivka, and Vodizenka. And south of Vodizenka and the north of Luzovatsky, Russian forces take some grounds. This was already mentioned in the previous situation report. And so over in the Pokrovsk sector, Russian forces geolocated in the western part of Ivanivka, confirming Russian forces have conquered most of Ivanivka. And they also starting to push towards Khrodivka with some frontline updates. And in the northwest of Serhievka, Russian forces is starting to push in a new direction, probably trying to flank south of Khrodivka. Russian forces attacking at Zelene as well, and in the area of Serhievka. So that is the Pokrovsk sector. So they are not pushing down the highway, the railway line yet. It seems like they want to secure more grounds around here, and there's a high chance that they will actually want to go for Khrodivka first, the first boss I mentioned, and maybe this is now the objective, because the progress now is a lot slower. It could also be because the Ukrainians have sent reinforcement. There is a possibility. I'm not saying that it happens, I say maybe. There is FPV drone hitting a Ukrainian tank, a T-64, just off Ivanivka. It does show that the Ukrainians are counter-attacking and trying to defend the position. So yeah, so that might explain the slower progress that we are seeing over the past 48 hours. Over in the southern flank, we have fighting reported at Yasno Brodivka, and there's a geolocation of Russian installing the flag over at Nevelsky. This is not exactly indicative that the Russians have captured all of Nevelsky yet. We still do not know what happened in this northern part yet, so the northern half, but the Russians are raising the flag. So let's see how this develops around here. Over at the Krasnohorivka, the battle continues with no updates regarding Krasnohorivka. We move further south over at this highway line. Can I fit everything in? Okay, maybe. So Russian forces attacking at Paraskoviyevka, Konstantinivka, towards Vodian, and fighting reported in the region of Voleda. And this one is very interesting because this is already like the second day going that there is fighting reported in the area near Voleda. So we have to see where if this is starting to become something serious. So let's see how this goes. In the Velika Novosilka sector, there is only airstrike on Blahodatne, and no offensive is being reported. The Russians seem to be pretty happy with this line. So moving on. In the the Zaporizhia front, there is only fighting reported at Malatomashka. That's the only one that was reported. And so that's it from this area. Over the Kherson front, things get a little bit interesting. So there's no fighting reported at the Pridniprovsky direction. Airstrike was geolocated in Kherson. And then there is this yet another Ukrainian amphibious assault. And this time now, they managed to land. They land at Kimbenspert. Kimbenspert, correct. Kimbenspert. Previously, they tried to land here. This is the previous report that we had. They failed to land at all. This time round, they managed to land. However, it didn't turn out super well. So according to the Russian reports, this is by Ryba, they say that at 2 a.m. There is attacks on using drones and electronic warfare on Porovsky. which is around here. I think you can see if I zoom in. Okay, it's in Porovsky. So Ukrainians are blinding the Russians over at Porovsky. And then 4 enemy boats with 2 Baba Yaga type of drones attack. And then they try to land around. There's a pier over here. They try to land over here so that they can then send more troops and create a beachhead, which is kind of silly, but yeah, they did cranky for a long time. So who knows, they really believe in it. If you learn to be a marine, don't waste don't waste your training. I think that's the logic. So the moment they landed on shore, several soldiers were reportedly immediately blown up by mines, and then the rest started to fight with the Russian soldiers. And so that was 2 a.m. when the battle started. By 7 a.m., the Ukrainian troops, the entire beachhead had failed. One of the boat was destroyed, and the rest retreated. So they tried to run away before the sun comes out. And then the Russian forces starting to clear the area. So that is the rest is just them complaining, complaining about the Russians not defending harder in this area here. But so this is another attempt by the Ukrainians. So we can say that it might look pointless, but at the same time it does drain Russian resources, because the beach area is super big. So you are all these kind of operations force the Russians to defend a huge amount of grounds. So thus using precious manpower to defend places. So it's not entirely useless, but of course it is also doesn't achieve a lot other than stretching Russian logistics. But the Ukrainians themselves lose men over it. So it's not exactly it doesn't really achieve big things, yeah, per se. If you want to stretch them, then there must be some big offensive happening elsewhere. So then it makes some kind of sense. But anyway, this is the situation over there. And while the attack that was happening there, they also launched surface drone attack towards Sevastopol. So but it didn't work out. And apparently among the attacks there was also Neptune anti-ship missiles and whatnot, and other area drones. But the other drones I don't really cover, so that's about it. So anyway, this is the situation report for the day of 898 for the 9th of August. Anyway, thanks for watching. Do press the like button. I'm starting to feel like my SITREP is getting super late, so yeah, maybe I need to change my schedules a bit and see how. Anyway, thank you for watching. I'll see you guys in the next update.